Hello, everyone. Very good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so now let's continue this part. So here we discuss we can use a data visualization approach to perform the feature selection or to explore this data set. You can also use a statistic like ANOVA and the chi-square to analyze this data or to check relationship or the dependency between your your dependent or independent variable. Okay. Then again what we do is, so after the performing this operation, so we have some variables like a geography and the gender. It is into the string format, so we'll use a word based encoding like one-hot encoding or the label encoder. You can be used to encode into the numeric format, because later on we are going to map this data set in our algorithm, and algorithm can only understand the particular numeric value, and as of now these variable contain into the string data. We'll also perform the normalization on the particular credit score and some continuous variable. You can use a minimax or the standard scalar different scaling operation to perform it. And to perform the entire operation, because you see, we want to perform the encoding on the geography, then gender, then minimax scalar or the scaling operation on the credit score, age, balance, a continuous variable. So you can one by one, you can select it and perform this particular operation, but then it will become very, very lengthy. So what we are going to do that we are going to perform design some pipeline, and this pipeline will perform the entire operation. So here the column transformer, and in the column transformer, you can define the operation that you want to perform it. So we want to perform the one hot encoding, and you can initialize your one hot encoding here. Now just specify the particular column index that you want to perform the one hot encoding operation. So we want to perform on the geography and the gender. So their index is 1 and the 2. It starts from 0. So 1 and the 2. Then again, we also want to implement the scaling operation. So here we are using the standard scalar. So again, you can just initialize this standard scalar and now specify the particular their uh, column index. So we want to perform on the particular credit score. So what is the credit score? Credit score there is something a 0. Their column index is 0. Then again, we want to perform on the age. So which is something a 3, then 4, then 3, 4, and the 5. Right? So 0, then 3 is something age, and the 4 for the balance, and the 5 is also the number of the product. Age active member is already your categorical variable, and we don't want to perform any operation to here, a scaling operation. Again, so what we do is we want to just pass as it is. So we'll just say here remind equals to the pass through, and here all of you can see here we have this encoder, right? So what we are going to do is, so we basically convert, we split the data for the training and testing now. Okay, so before that, we just perform the encoding operation. So you can say the new x equals to encoder dot feed underscore transform, and then you can pass into the particular the x. So we are basically performing the encoding operation on that. And after performing the encoding, you see here, we have this particular the transform data. The starting t is represent for geography, then 2 is gender. You can also specify the column name, and then we have particular the credit score, age or bank balance, then again number of the product, and the last one is something your is active member, this information. So after performing this operation, you can just follow the standard pipeline, and you can split data for the training and testing. So here then again from sklearn dot model underscore selection train test split. And we have two information. The new access contain all the features and y contain the actual label. And after performing the splitting, there will be the four information: the features for the training, feature for the testing, and actual label for the training and actual label for the testing. So here we can just split the data for the training and testing. So everyone, you can see here, if your data is present into the higher dimension, so again, you can use some dimensionality reduction technique to reduce the dimension, okay, without losing the much information that you can be do that. Or if you have some complicated pattern present into the data set, so in that case, you can use assemble learning technique to get the better performance like a bagging, boosting, and the stacking. So, but here we are going to use a simple algo like a descent tree to design the classifier. Okay, but again, the selection of algorithm depend on the many different factor. Depend, let's say you want that your whether you what is your business problem. Your business problem is a regression or the classification, the training time or prediction speed. You want the training time should be very less and prediction speed should be very fast. You want that your model should be, for your model should be the white box. It should be very easy to explain the the stakeholder or the managers, or it should be the black based on the white box or the black box. Then again, you want that your output should be in the probability format if you're solving the classification problem. And there should be very less hyperparameter so that we can easily tune it. So depend on the many different factor you can select. You want to go with assemble learning technique or normal classical machine learning algorithm. So depend on the many different factor we select the machine learning algorithm, and then whether in your data set there's a linear pattern or the non-linear pattern. So based on that, you can select it and design some classifier. So we are going to use a decision tree algorithm, and the decision tree, it is a supervised machine learning algorithm, and it is a white box algorithm. We can use it to solve regression and the classification all kind of problem. And what the decision tree do that, it's uses concept of entropy or information gain and design the particular tree, or design the particular class decision boundary, and it's uses in the real time that decision boundary to perform the classification. So decision tree algorithm, it's basically select some features, and then based on some condition it's split it, and then again it's perform the same operation in order to, until we'll get the homogeneous we'll get homogeneous samples into the leaf node or partition, you can say. So it's one of the very famous algorithm and why it is used into the industry. Okay, so I'll not explain more in the depth about this decision tree algorithm because we have very less time. We'll focus on the deployment part also. So now let's go with this decision tree algorithm and design the model, and then after we export it and perform testing in real time. So from sklearn again, the tree import decision tree classifier because we have a classification algorithm. Then again, you can be use a decision tree classifier. Here you can specify your approach also, whether you want to use a Gini index or you want to use entropy based approach. That's something you can specify here. So we want to use entropy based approach. So we have this algorithm. Then again, algo.fit. We are just mapping on the training data here. We're just mapping the some training data. You can also define many other hyperparameter like a maximum depth, minimum leaf sample. All this you can define as a hyperparameter here in order to tune your model or get the better performance. So as of now, we are taking a default hyperparameter and only the approach is entropy. And now we are defining this algorithm and mapping our particular training data on this algo. So after once we have a trained model, so what we do is you can just perform the prediction and you can send your particular the trained model to your your testing data set, which is just contain the features value. Okay, you can send the data set and you have a predicted value. And if you have a class, once you have a you have a trained model, and now we are performing the testing on the testing sample. So why predicted is contain the predicted value for the testing data set, and we have a white test also which contain the actual label. Okay. Now, what we do is we just check the performance of the trained model. Uh, for that, we use a different matrix. So if you're working with a classification problem, so we use a matrix like a precision, recall, F1 score, or F1 score, precision, recall, accuracy, classification, error, such kind of a matrix. If you're using a regression, so we use a root mean square error, R square score. If you're working with a clustering, so we use a Silhouette score. Okay, a different technique for it. So it is a classification problem. So you can just use a particular from sklearn dot matrix import classification report. Then print classification report, y test, comma, y predicted value. So you can see we have a particular precision recall FNS score for class 0 and the class 1. You should not only trust on particular final accuracy. Maybe your accuracy is very high but your model is very bad. You can see overall accuracy is just 79%, but your model is very bad because label 1 is represent your business problem. We want that your model, your software should be very precisely predict the particular, the performance should be class label 1 should be high because label 1 is represent that the customer who left a bank, and we want that it will be predict that which we want that our model should be with very high accuracy. It should predict that, or accurately should be predict that which customer will left bank in the future. Okay, but you can see for the performance for the label 1 is very bad. Precision and recall is only the zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.5, and accuracy is also zero point 0.5, which is a very bad. Support is represent that how many samples present of this class 0 and the class 1 into your testing data set. So your model is not good. So again, we can tune it and performance of this trained model. Okay, so you can tune it and improve performance of this trained model. But again, as of now, we'll not tune it because we'll focus on the deployment part here. So we are just going to use this particular model to perform the testing or to deploy on the production environment. So once you have a particular good model, so you can export this train model, you can save this particular train model. So you can use a job lib to export your train model. And now you can just say that a job lib dot dump. Now you can just define your algo here and just specify location. And also job lib dump. We also save the particular encoder because in the real time, we are going to use it to perform on the testing data set. Because in the real time, we cannot say the customer that send the information, send the particular information. If you are from Germany, send the information into the 100 format. If you are the mail, then send the information 01 format. The customer will send the information into the normal, the text format only. So that's why we'll also deploy the encoder on the production environment. And whenever the server will have a data, so it will be send the data to the encoder, and encoder encode it, and then after it will pass this information to the trained model, and model will make a prediction and send the output as a response to the user. So now you can just save this train model. So we are just going to specify. You can specify the location here. So I just give the name like a bank hyphen model and bank hyphen encoder, and you can save into particularly this pickle format. Okay.
So what is the meaning of PKL, sir? Extension?
Yeah, this is the format like we save into the object format. Okay, we can serialize this into the object format, this particular the train model here. Like we use a different format to save our machine learning model or the deep learning format like H5 or the pickle or object format. We can save it, this particular train model. Like we save the image or information into the JPG or the PNG. Similarly, a machine learning model, we save it into the pickle serialized like, as an object format. We can store into the pickle or or H5 format, or there are also many other formats that we save it, the train model, machine learning or deep learning model, or even the pre-processing object also.
Okay, so algo contains actually algorithm result. Encoder will store actually transformed values, right?
Yes, right. So in the real time,
this is for reusability purpose, sir.
Yes, because in the real time we are not going to build the model again and again, right? So once we have a trained model, we just use it and we can deploy in the production environment and perform testing part. So let's say here, now let's take a new notebook here and we can just reuse this train model. So you can just import job lib. And here you can just define your model equals to job lib dot load, and your encoder equals to the job lib dot load. And now you can just copy the location of your encoder. So you see here we have the particular the bank hyphen encoder and bank hyphen model somewhere. So this is something bank-encoder. You can just copy their path and paste it here. So we just exported this, the train model, and you can just copy the path of it again to perform the testing. Test data. There is a one customer, and the credit score of the customer is a 500. The customer is, the customer's credit score is a 500, and the particular customer from the let's suppose that from Germany, and the customer is a particular the male, and particular customer is a 45. Bank balance is this much. Number of the product the customer is using a 2, and customer is actually using a bank services of 1, right? So we have this test data. Now what we do is the first we will just use the encoder, and here we will use a transform function to transform into the same format and save it again into the test part, or you can give another variable. Now we have a particular the final model also, that we have a train model, and we are just using a predict function and sending to our test data. And then again you can just print the particular the output here. So we are getting a 0, so means this customer will not left bank. So let's suppose if the customer is using a particular the 5 product, and particular customer's credit score is below the particular is a 320. So it's predicting as a particular this. Okay, let me just load it again. So we have this one. Okay, is something of 4, and particular customer is a female. So it's for this customer is predicting as a 1, because we know all the customers left bank whose credit score is a 400. But when you're taking a 320 also, but even it's not predicting because the performance is not good, right? Because as of now, your performance of the model is not good for the class 1. So maybe sometimes it will perform the wrong prediction because the performance is not good. But again, it's predicting sometimes 1 and a 0. So this feature is predicting as a 1, means this customer with this information left a bank. Right. Something your train model. And now the question is how to deploy it to the production environment to perform testing. So you see there are multiple way that you can deploy it. One you can do is you can just pass this particular code.
Please kindly mute yourself. Sorry, sir. Please mute yourself. Okay, sir, you can move.
Okay. So everyone, so there's a multiple way that you can deploy into the production environment. One thing is you can directly pass your code to the production environment or any VM, and you can deploy it. Or you can use a different tools also. You can be use a framework like a Django. You can be use a framework like a Flask. You can use a different framework, PHP, to deploy on the production environment, and you can perform testing in the real time. Create a server and then perform testing. Second is we in the industry, what we do is we also use a Docker. We basically what we do is we create a Docker image. Okay, we create a particular Docker image, and then we register that particular Docker image to any Docker container or Docker hub, and then after we just pass that, but we deploy that Docker image to the production environment or any VM. The reason that we use a Docker, let's say sometimes it happens some codes that's working into my laptop, but same code when I pass to the testing team. So the testing team generally they face a loss of they generally it's written the loss of error, because maybe as a developer when we are designing some software, so it's using some hidden dependency or the OS or some software, some dependency, it is it is working on that. Okay, and when we are just passing the same code to our the testing team, so testing team is they are getting a loss of error here for the same code. So what in the real time we do is we create the Docker image. So basically Docker is a one container which has a lightweight OS, and we install all the dependency, all the particular dependency library, and then we also put the particular our data code, and we create one Docker image, and then we can just pass the Docker image to all the clients or the development teams, and they can perform the testing or deploy in the production environment. Even in the real time also, whenever we send the particular code, so we just basically we send the Docker image. But you can also use another approach where if you are very much sure that there's no any hidden dependency, so you can just use the particular code and you can pass your code to the production environment and you can perform testing. So here I'll show you, but in order to use a particular Docker, you need that kind of the environment. You have to install the Docker first in your VM as well. Okay, and then you have to register your code to the you have to register your image to Docker Hub, and then you can you can select the Docker Hub to the Docker Docker Hub, and then you can pass your Docker image from Docker Hub to any VM, and then you can deploy it. Okay, so that's again very lengthy process here. So what we are going to do that we are directly going to pass our code to the any VM and then we deploy on the production environment. And we will use a Flask, as a framework to create a server or to deploy on the production environment. Yeah. So here I'll just write a Flask code to deploy it, this particular train model on production environment, and then we will use AWS. We will create a VM on the AWS, okay, Amazon Web Service, and deploy this thing on the production environment and perform testing. So Spider is again another, the IDE, that editor window. You can be use it to edit your code and then, to implement the entire things. Okay. So here the Flask is a Python library and it is used for the web development to design different web applications. Okay. So what we are going to do is, so we basically, so we will use here import from Flask import joblib. I'll show you the one application. You can create an application here in this way. App equals to the Flask. Okay. So we are just defining the endpoint here. And here we are going to use the HTTP protocol. So basically we'll create a one server and deploy the machine learning model over there. So whenever any user send the request on the server IP address, the server will accept the request and then collect all the data and send to the encoder. Encoder will perform the pre-processing. Then again, it will be pass the information to the train model and model will perform the prediction and send the predicted output as a response to the user. And to implement using this HTTP protocol, client and the server both can communicate and send transfer information. And we will use a post method. So there's a different technique to send the request and the response, or to implement HTTP protocol, we can use HTTP method like a get, post, put, delete. We are going to use a post here. So you see the basic, you can design the any the application in this way. I'll show you the small application here. So basically, we are just creating very simple application here. Okay, and I'm just going to deploy this particular part, run this code here. Okay, so this is something your particular address here. And now if you just go to and search 127.5002, so here you can see we're getting hello ML. So it's basically your web browser is a client, and whenever you just enter the address of your server, is sending the GET request to the server, and server is accepting your request and return the response. It's basically calling that function, and the function give this produce this output. then the server is sending this output as a response to the user. We are going to use same approach to design the machine, to deploy the machine learning model to the production environment. So here we just, we write this particular part. So basically we are going to, we just calling our train model here. Okay. And then we are defining the endpoint. And here, because we want to send some, the particular, the request, we will be use a particular, the post method here. Okay. So in the real time, what happened? We say that we ask the client to send the data in the JSON format. Okay, to send the data into the JSON format. So here you can just say that data equals to request request dot get underscore JSON, and the force equals to the true. So it will be written the data into the JSON format. Then again, what we do is a data equals to data, then test. I'll show you why I'm writing here
So,
test part. Yeah.
so what is force is equal to true here? Why did you
So
take
if
force is equal to true?
Yeah. So if it will be only take only the data into the JSON format, if there is some other data, it won't be take it here. So you can by default it is a true only. So I think by default it's a false. So you can just take it the true here. So it will be just only take a JSON format, the data.
Okay.
So the client has to send the information in the JSON format only, where we have a key. Key is something name of your variable, and the value is something the information. Let's say the credit score is the key, and the value is something 450. Okay, so we're just specifying that request dot get means get a data into the form of a JSON, okay, and store into the data variable. Then again, we are just performing the slicing and creating a particular. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me show you this step first. So what I'm going to do is I'll just write a program here. I'll just write a program, import request, and import a JSON. So let's suppose that my data is this one. This is my test data. Okay. This is the test data that we have. What we do is we convert into the JSON format this particular data. So let's suppose that data equals to so you can see if I'll just print this data here. So we have this data where the test is a key and we have a list of the values, right? And if you just check the particular the print, the type of the particular data, so it's basically a dictionary format. So what we do is we just convert this data into the JSON format. So JSON dot dumps and then pass this particular data. So it's basically now into JSON format. And if you just check the print, the type of the data, so it is now a particular JSON format. It will be basically a JSON format. We are just see here the string, but it's a JSON format because we are dumping into the JSON here. Okay, it is basically a JSON format here, the data. You can also print and check this particular part. So this is something with come with a particular some string. It look like a kind of a dictionary, but it's a JSON. We have a double quotes here. It become a double quotes. So it's a JSON format of data because we are dumping into the JSON. Now what we do is we also define the address or the of server address. So as TTP, which is something as TTP colon slash slash 127.0.0.1 colon 5000. Okay, this is address of server here. Then you can just send that RE equals to request. So you can even also use a postman here to send get post request. So we are just sending this URL. Then we are sending this particular URL and the data, right? So you see all of you, we are just sending this request to the server. And this is the server we have. Let me just stop the server and send it again. So I'll just going to run this program. So you see all of you, this server, now this particular server is running again in this address. So now you can run this program. And if you go here, now the server has this particular data. We are getting a list of data here. So because if you see here, this key is basically here, we are taking a key as a particular test. And that's why we are performing a slicing here. So it will be written, we'll get a list of the values, which is something a list of the values, right? We are performing the slicing and then the data will be contained in the list of values, means all the features value. Then what we do is we just use our data again is equals to the encoder, and encoder will, perform the transform. So transform function and data part. And after this particular part, you can just say out equals to model dot predict data. Then it will be plain the particular. So it's just predicting this particular part, and you can also print the particular the out thing here. And also send the response. This also send this particular response as predicted value to the user, right? So we are designing this particular model here, this Flask code. And again, you can stop this particular part and run it again. So what we're doing, the client, the server is taking a data, then sending to the encoder. Encoder is performing the transformation. Then again, we are sending this transform data to the model, and model is predicting the output. Okay, whether the customer will left the bank or not. Then it is sending this output as a response to the user. Okay, so here all of you can see here. Now we have this data, and now we are sending a request to the particular server. Now in order to get the response, so here you can just use re.content, and it will be just print the response. So response is 1 here. So this customer will left bank. If I just use a 700 here, so this customer will left bank because the customer is using a 4 product. If I'll take a 2 here, so the customer will not left bank. Right? So we're getting a response. But as of now, we just deploy this model locally. And if you want to perform the testing from anywhere, so what we do is we deploy this model on the cloud AWS, so that we'll get the endpoint, and using their endpoint, you can perform the testing from anywhere. Because as of now, we just deploy on the local environment. So in the locally, you can perform testing this particular part. You can send a request on the server, and then server will accept a request and collect data and send to your train model, and the model will make a prediction and send the output as a response to user. So in order to deploy on the production environment, we are going to use AWS cloud, and on the AWS we create one VM and deploy this train model on production environment. So you can just create an account on AWS or GCP or Azure, and you can create a VM and deploy your model on the production environment. We are going to use AWS. AWS is one of the cloud service provider, and AWS provide the lots of services for computing, data storage, or networking, AI, ML, blockchain. Okay. So we are going to use EC2 service. So EC2 stand for Elastic Compute, and it is used to create a virtual machine. Okay, so just click on the services, and you can just click on the EC2 service. And on the EC2, we are going to create one VM virtual machine and deploy this train model on that. So all of you can just go to the instance here and create one instance on this particular VM. Create an instance here. So you can just click on the particular launch instance. So instance means a kind of VM here, and you can just select the type of VM that you want to take it. So let's take it the Ubuntu. And this is something because my account is a free trial. AWS provide the most of 1 year free services. Most of services have 1 year free. So we are going to use this free. We'll create a particular one we create this particular one VM on that. So let's create this VM. So this is available into the free tier, the micro one. So I'll just select this review and the launch, and you can just launch this particular free tier. So in order to connect this particular VM, what happened, there will be some security key. So we can just generate some security key to connect this VM, create a new key, and you can just specify your key. So new AWS key, download key and pair, and you can download .pem file and the launch instance. So we'll generate some private key, and using this private key, you can connect with this VM. Okay. And then you can just click on the VM, view instance. You can give just some instance name. So let's suppose that AWS instance. So you can see the status. So still is, the pending. So once it is running, so then we use this particular key to connect with this VM and install all the dependency. And then after we just paste this code, we upload, we deploy this particular code over there and use the endpoint to perform testing part. So meanwhile, you can use the particular putty gen software, and using the putty gen, you can use this .pem file and create one private key. So just load this particular .pem file, and sorry, my bad. So just let's use the particular putty gen software, and using this putty gen software, you can load this .pem file, and you can just load this particular .pem file and create one particular or generate one particular private key, and we say this particular private key to the same location. So it's basically it's creating one private key, and we use this private key to connect with this VM. Okay. So usually it should not take that much time, but again, let's see here. So it will be just take time once we have this.
If you move mouse, then it will going to generate it.
What?
If you move mouse, then it will generate.
No,
It
it's
will add
okay.
some.
Oh yeah, generate some randomness by moving the mouse over the blank area. All right, yeah, thank you so much. So we have this key here, save the private key, and we just want to save this private key here. So just give to this, just take it the same location, and you can just again you can just give some name like aws key.ppk file and save it. So once we have this private key, and now you can just use a putty software to connect connect with this VM here, and we specify the host address. So you can just click on the connect, select your VM and click on the connect. And here we have a public DNS. So copy this public DNS and paste as a particular the host. And then after, go to the particular authentication and select your particular key. And you can use this key to connect with this VM here, and it is asked for the username, and username is Ubuntu. And just give me check it again. Okay, let's see why. Go to your instance again. And if you see this particular instance, so there's just some security key group also. So if you just go here in the security group, so there's some security group here. Like this is something security group, and so is allowed only the TCP and this particular the inbound range here. Let's do one thing. Click on the security group and just click on edit inbound rules. So just is basically the access search, and the search is you can just select your IP address or anywhere. Okay, so using this access search you can connect it from anywhere. You can also add one more rule here. So it's basically it should select we can connect this VM from anywhere. Okay, so you can just specify it that we can connect this VM from anywhere. Or you can specify your particular all traffic or from anywhere, or even you can also specify your IP address. Save changes. Now if you go to again PuTTY, so let's paste this here. Go to SSH authentication, users key to connect it. Server refuse your key. I think we need to generate our key again. PuTTY gen, let's use it. Generate or the load key, and we're going to load this key again. Okay, so save this private key. Yeah, so we just save this particular private key here, or you can just give the name the new key and save it. Okay, so we'll just use this new key to connect with this. We just use this new key to connect. I think maybe the last time there may be some issue here, so we'll just this new key to connect with this VM, and let's see here. So it's connected, I think. Yeah, it's connected. So I think the last time there's some issue over there. So you can see PW. So we have this is the current directory, and there's a no file here, right? So what we do is, so first we will install some particular. We will install the particular some library here. Okay. Like we are using the particular scikit-learn. We are using the particular some Flask code, right? So we are using some couple of the libraries. So we are just going to install one by one all the libraries here, and then deploy our code to the production environment and perform testing part. Okay, so let's install, and here because it's a we use a sudo based code, like a sudo apt-get install. Let's update it first. Get update sudo apt-get install python 3 -pip. So we install the one pip here. Pip is a package manager for Python. To install any library or any packages, we use a pip command. So we're updating it, and we are also installing the pip. So using a pip, we can install all the packages, learn or pandas, right, or joblib that in our code that it is using. Okay, so it's using a scikit-learn, joblib, and the Flask. So we install all these, the library in this VM, and then after we deploy this thing on the production environment.
So
Yeah.
So, can I have? Can we have any other utility that here it's a cumbersome job that we in this particular virtual machine we need to install Python. Then again, all its supported libraries. Do we have this utility in the Docker that we need not to install everything all of it again? Do we
Yeah,
have
so
any
if
facility
you
over there?
Yes, yeah. So because we are just deploying our code here. So first, because when we use this approach, when we deploy, we are just passing the code and run the code in this VM. So you have to first install all the dependency in the library. But if you're using a Docker image, so in the Docker image, what we do is Docker is a kind of container. So where we put a lightweight OS, and we also install all the dependency over there. Okay, so we can check all the dependency that our program is based on that, and we mention all the dependency in the particular while creating a Docker image. So it install the dependency into the lightweight OS, and then after create one Docker image, and we can pass the Docker image to all the clients, and then they can directly deploy the Docker image over there. They don't need to worry about to that. They don't need to install all the dependency in their system. So let's suppose that what I'll be do. Let's suppose that if you want to deploy this code in your SaaS system, so in your system you have to first install all these libraries, right? And then you can deploy this. You can run this code and perform testing. So this is the one drawback of it. And if I just want to run the same code into the 10 different system, so in all the 10 different system, first we have to install all these particular packages, and then we can only run the particular code over there. But if you're using a Docker, so in the Docker, what we do is Docker is a container. So we put a lightweight OS and we install all the dependency into the lightweight OS. Then after we create one Docker image of our code, and we create a Docker image of the entire code. And then if in your system only the Docker is installed, so you can just take a Docker image and you can run your code. You don't need to install, you don't need to worry about the anythings over there. You can just directly run the code, and you can directly run the Docker image to all the handed system, and it will be work.
Okay. So, what about if all the clients workstations? Let us say I have 10 workstations, client workstations, and in all of them, I have already installed Python Anaconda. I have already installed Anaconda, and is it then would it be compulsory for me or mandatory for me to install this Puttygen and go through the virtual machine process, or I need not to worry about all these things because I have already installed.
We are using a putty only to deploy this code. As of now, we are deploying on the particular locally. Okay, now we want to
Yes.
deploy on the AWS. That's why we are using a Puttygen software. So
That is what my point is. If we could create a AWS account in all my client machines, do I need any through the AWS console also, only? Then do I need any this virtual machine platform for it?
no, if you're using a console vendor, so you can directly deploy on the particular this AWS part, because AWS is just we are using to deployment purpose. Model
Right.
building we can do the locally, but let's say
Right.
if all the clients want to deploy their own model, then all the clients have to use this particular. Either they can use a console window, the CLI, they can use it and deploy over there, or they can use a Putty to connect with a VM, and then they can deploy their code on the production environment, right?
Okay.
So here we just install the pip here on this VM, and now what we do is we install all the libraries. So basically, like let's say the pip space install the NumPy. You can just one by one, or you can install. Okay, so it's basically you can just use a pip3 here. So just use the particular pip3 is Python 3 for. So pip3 space install space NumPy. So it's downloading package and installing this NumPy library. So similarly, we install scikit-learn, joblib, and the Flask. So pip3 space install Flask, pip3 space install joblib, and we're also using a scikit-learn. So pip3 install scikit-learn. So it's just installing all library here. So once it's done, so now what we do is we just upload this code to this VM and run that particular code, and we'll get the endpoint, and using the endpoint you can perform testing in real time. So now it's done here. So what we are going to do that, if you just use, so there's no any directory, there's no any file inside of this VM, as you can see in the current directory. So what we do is, in order to say in the particular code, so you have a multiple option. You can load your code to the GitHub, and from the GitHub you can download it. That's something one of the option. Or you can also use a particular some software like Win SAP and to send your code to this VM, and then you can run it over there. Okay. So what we are going to do is, so I'll just basically, I'll just create the particular one folder here. I'll just create the particular one, basically one folder here. Let me just create one folder. Okay, so this is the new folder too. I'll just say the AWS deploy. So where is it? Yeah, this one. In this folder, I'll just paste all the particular my code here. So we are basically using a bank encoder. Let me go to the bank model, and this is the bank encoder. So copy it and paste into the everything on this one place. And I'll also save my code to this location. So I'm going to save this code, this location. I think it is a data science data, AWS deploy, yeah, here. So I'll just say you can give the any name. So let me give the test.py. Okay. So once you deploy this particular part, so this is your current location, your system location. Just remove this particular part thing from here and just edit it. And you don't need to give the, you can also remove the port number here, or yeah, it will be just take a default port number, or yeah, it will be take a default port number, or you can give the port number as a 8080 is up to you. Okay, so everything is fine. You don't need to do any changes here. Only the one more thing here. Also specify the host here. Define the host as a 0 point whenever you're deploying anything on the cloud. Okay, just because we'll take a their endpoint. So here you can just define the host as a 0.0.0.0. So it will be take their endpoint, and then we can be use their endpoint to perform the testing part. Only these changes you need to do this particular port. You can take it any port like 8080, 5000, that is fine. The host number is very important to put like a 000 point here. And also make sure that remove this address. Now just save it. So it's saved. Let me make sure that you can just right click here and check this particular part. So I think it's saved, right? So let's do one thing. Okay, we are going to use a Puttygen software, and in the Puttygen software, I'll just paste the particular this endpoint. So this is my instance here. You can just click on the instance. This is your instance. Click on the connect. We have the endpoint, public DNS, copy it, and paste the public DNS to here. Your username you can specify here. And we just load that particular file, the security key, to connect with this, to connect with the particular this virtual machine. Okay. And then log in. So when it's connected to the particular this VM, we basically we are going to use. Let's connect it again. Okay. So now it's connected. So what we do is, so this left hand side panel is your system, and right hand side panel is your particular the VM. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just go to this particular location. So this you see here, the left hand side panel is your particular system, and right hand side panel is your particular VM. So we're just going to this location here, and you can drag and drop and paste this particular code to your VM. You can just move your particular encoder and your .py file to this particular virtual machine. All right, so it's done. So now if you just go to this VM and just check this particular ls here, so we have a 3 file here: bank encoder, bank model, and the test here. Now you can just run this test.py file and perform this testing part. So Python 3 test.py. So you see here, this running on this particular VM, as you can see, and now you can just perform testing in the real time. So even all of you now, you can perform the testing part. Okay, everyone, because this is something that deploy on the cloud. So you can just copy this public DNS and perform testing in real time. So you just need to do one thing. At the place of this, this particular location, we are going to use this particular part, and the port number we specify as a 8080. So this is something, a port number that you need to specify here. The port number is 8080. So this is something you address the endpoint here. Then port number is 80 and 80, this part. So http:// you see we are getting a now everyone, you can just perform the testing in real time. So we're getting output as a 0, and from anywhere even you can just perform the testing. So let's say this is the 320 and this is something a particular 4. Okay, so we're getting 1 here, and from anywhere in the real time at the same time multiple users can perform the testing, or even you can use this endpoint, you can interface with the software and any application and perform testing, right? So this is something we discussed, like how to push the code, but you can also use a Docker and create a Docker image and then register your Docker image to Docker Hub or any container registry, and then you can deploy your Docker image to any production environment or the cluster of the VM. So we also create our clusters for the VM and then deploy it. If any particular VM will be, you're down, so it will be so it will automatic scale up, and the particular, perform. We can use it in the real time. And as well as we also take the extension after the deployment part. We also use our DevOps or MLOps, and we interface it to monitor the performance in real time, because over the period of the time, maybe the performance of your model will be decreased. So we monitor the performance of it, and then we tune it in order to get the business objective. Or we also use the concept of active learning and real time. Also, we just, let's say the quarterly or monthly, now when we have some more data sets, so we can retrain our train model, and then we can maintain their performance, or we can improve the performance of the train model and use it to perform testing in the real time. Yeah. So I'm sending you these 3 files right now. So here in this way, we are performing testing. Okay, we are using this particular model and performing the testing part. So I hope it is fine for everyone. If you have any question, then please let me know.